Episode 5 of The Acolyte ended in the most confusing way possible, by giving us the theme of a character who's not born for the next 100 years.
We are.
That's right, Kylo Ren's theme. But what the does this mean? Star Wars fans are already going crazy speculating about how Qimir is related to the Knights of Ren, how he could be the original member of the Knights of Ren, but I don't think any of that is the truth. And what's really going on in this scene has to do with Osha, not the stranger, aka Qimir. But let's talk about it. Episode 5 of this Acolyte show had this incredible lightsaber sequence that lasted over 20 minutes, but that's not what we're here to talk about. The episode ends with Osha and May switching places, May going off with Master Soul, and Osha being found by Qimir. And yes, in this final scene of the episode, we hear Kylo Ren's theme. And before you say,
Mike, this could have just been an accident. It wasn't supposed to sound like Kylo Ren's theme.
That is just wrong. A theme like this put in an episode like episode 5 of The Acolyte is there for a reason. The reason is not what anybody else is thinking of, apparently. As most fans believe it's a connection to the Knights of Ren. However, that's impossible.
That's impossible!
The Knights of Ren in Star Wars were introduced in the sequel trilogy. However, those are just posers. A group of warriors who took the name Knights of Ren to instill fear on the galaxy. The true Knights of Ren are just a myth, a legend in the Star Wars galaxy. They were marauders in the unknown regions that pillaged worlds, and they were known for leaving a trail of destruction behind them. And even this is how Palpatine described the Knights of Ren. Those who dwell in the unknown regions have long whispered legends of the Knights of Ren. This band of marauders was said to have burned their way across worlds, consuming everything in their path. In recent years, an enclave of warriors stepped from the darkness to claim that name and the fear it instills as their own. So these Knights of Ren in the sequel trilogy that are led by Kylo Ren are just phonies. Yes, they are very powerful warriors, but the true Knights of Ren have just become legends from the unknown regions. And these imposters that we see in the sequel trilogy are just claiming that title, which would make it impossible for Qimir to have any sort of connection to the Knights of Ren. And I actually think Kylo Ren's theme being played at the end of episode 5 has nothing to do with Qimir at all. And that's because it has to do with Osha. Now let's think about this logically. This is Kylo Ren's theme, not the Knights of Ren theme, and not just any other random theme in Star Wars. It's a specific character, Kylo Ren. Now, what do we know about Kylo Ren? He was once Ben Solo. He trained for the majority of his life at Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple until he was persuaded to the dark side by Palpatine or Snoke. And in a very similar way to Order 66, Ben Solo, who became Kylo Ren, and the Knights of Ren murdered all of the Jedi at Luke's Jedi Temple. So Kylo was once a Jedi. And now he is a dark side user. And that brings us to Osha. Osha was once a Jedi. She trained with the Jedi Order for 10 years. Under, of course, Master Soul. However, episode 5 ends with Osha being taken away by Qimir. And it's highly likely that Qimir is going to tell Osha the truth of what really happened 16 years ago on Brendok. And that is, the Jedi most likely killed the witches. And this would change everything. Osha trusted the Jedi. She thinks the Jedi are the good guys. And more importantly, she trusts Soul with her life. And with only 3 episodes left, all of that will be turned on its head. And now Osha will see the Jedi as the villains, as the people who murdered her family. And now the person she trusted most, Master Soul, is going to be her worst enemy, pushing her down a very dark path. Very similar to Ben Solo and Kylo Ren. Ben Solo sees Luke Skywalker as a mentor, as his uncle. But then that one fateful night, his uncle, Luke, is looking over him with a lightsaber ignited, ready to strike him down. And with that revelation, everything has changed. And I believe in episode 6, Osha is going to go through a very similar revelation, as Qimir will tell her what really happened on Brendok, and now her former master, Soul, that she saw as a mentor and a person she could trust, is now the enemy. And she will turn to the dark side just like Kylo Ren. So no, this theme being at the end of episode 5 has nothing to do with Qimir at all. He's not the first member of the Knights of Ren. He has no connection to the Knights of Ren at all, because even those warriors, those posers in the sequel trilogy, have nothing to do with the Knights of Ren either. They just stole the name. All of this has to do with Osha. Because in this scene, when the theme is playing, it's not Kymir that we're focusing on. It's him flipping Osha over, both physically and metaphorically, flipping her to the dark side. And Kylo Ren's theme plays because Osha is going to go down a very similar path to Ben Solo. Now you might be saying,
Mike, that's not nearly enough evidence. I don't think this is because Osha has a relation to Kylo Ren.
well, that's okay, because there's a lot more to get into here. This is not the only time we hear Kylo Ren's theme in this episode. It's also in the very first scene. When Osha wakes up in the forest of Kofar at the beginning of episode 5, we hear this.
Babe. You're alright.
Yeah, that's right, Kylo Ren's theme yet again. And what character is the common denominator here in these two scenes? Osha. So no, this has nothing to do with Kymir, the Stranger, Darth Zipperface, Smilo Ren, whatever you want to call him. And it has everything to do with Osha, as this season of The Acolyte is going to take a huge turn, and Osha is going to fall to the dark side, very similar to how Ben Solo did in the years before the sequel trilogy. And throughout the first 5 episodes of this Acolyte show, we have seen the power of May. She's murdered Jedi, she's had incredible fight sequences, but we haven't seen Osha in action. When she was a child, she didn't like to fight, and now when we see her in present day, she's not even training to be a Jedi anymore. But I think in the next 3 episodes, we're going to get to see the true power of Osha, as she will fall to the dark side and the tables will be turned. And now Sol will have to face his greatest adversary, his former Padawan. But tell me what you think in the comment section below. Do you think this Kylo Ren theme is referring to Osha, or do you still think that it's referring to Kymir? Even after everything I just said. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. And there's a lot more that you might have missed in this 5th episode, but that's okay, because I broke it all down right here.